1, 2, shake, shake, 1, 2, shake, shake, and then you go 1, 2, shake, shake, 1, 2, shake, shake, 1, 2, shake, 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 appa, shake, shake,
Zambezi Queen. I love that name. Melissa is here from Zambezi Queen Collection. They are a collection, a fleet of houseboats operating on the Chobe River within all the wildlife that makes up the Chobe River. Of course, the national park. Where is it? It's near one of my favorite places. I love being able to say Namibia, Botswana. You shouldn't think that would trick me up, but it does. It doesn't take much, by the way. And yeah, Melissa's here to tell us all about Zambezi Queen Collection. Take it away, Melissa.
Hello.
Hello.
I am here to talk about one of my favorite places in the entire world, which is the Chobe River on the Zambezi Queen houseboat. Just for a quick intro, my name is Melissa. I'm the North American representation for the 3 Fairmont, Kenya properties, the Cape Grace by Fairmont in Cape Town, and the Mantis Collection, which is 17 different boutique properties throughout southern and eastern Africa. That includes the Zambezi Queen Collection. So here we go. Okay. Here we go. For a really quick summary of the Mantis Collection, here is a list of the properties. I'm happy to talk more with anybody about more properties in the future. But right now we are talking about the Zambezi Queen Collection, which is our pride and joy. It's a collection of 4 what we call floating villas, because it's typical than the typical riverboat that you would imagine, but it's the beautiful 5-star Zambezi Queen in the front, which is a 14-cabin Virtuoso 5-star houseboat. And then we have our 3 little special Chobe Princesses in the back, which quite honestly are my favorite place to be. So I'll talk through both of them. For quickly, it's on where they're located. It's on the Chobe River, where one side is Botswana, the other side is Namibia. It's facing Chobe National Park. You fly into Kasane, or it's about an hour to an hour and a half drive from Victoria Falls. So it's an easy addition to a Victoria Falls itinerary. But unlike the US or Canada, where water is public, here the water is actually private, and it's split down the middle. So the boat's more on the Namibian side of the river versus the Botswana side of the river. And what that means is your clients have a little bit of an adventure to get to the boats, because they have to stamp out of Botswana and into Namibia. And I'll kind of talk through what that looks like. It's actually super easy and efficient, but it's a bit of an adventure, and I like to mention it only because there's different visa requirements for some countries, because you are stamping into Namibia in addition to Botswana. So you fly into Kasane Airport, and our staff will pick your guests up at the airport, drive about 10 minutes to this little customs building that we have on the river specifically for guests of our boats and locals. You'll see it in the upper left, so it's not like a typical boarding crossing with a lot of people. At this point, they'll stamp you out of Botswana, where they'll get you on a little boat that you see in your bags, drive you or take you about 5 minutes across the river to the Namibian side. Over there, you'll see the customs building. Really quickly, your guests get off, stamp into Namibia, get back on the smaller boats, and from there, they will take you up to the larger boats, which is about 10, depending upon where the boats are located at that moment, about 10 minutes upriver. The rates are all-inclusive, so they include everything you see here, including accommodation, meals, all local beers, wines, non-alcoholic drinks, road transfers to and from the airport, the boat transfers we talked about, and then it includes 6 hours a day, 3 2-hour increments actually off the bigger boats on smaller boats, doing wildlife spotting. We have dedicated and expert birding guides. We have expert fishing guides. Tiger fishing is very big here. And we actually have expertly trained photography guides also in a photography boat if you have any photography groups. In addition, All of the local staff is from the local Namibian villages, and we do a little land-based cultural tour of a Namibian village on that side. This is just an example of the best way to view elephants, in my opinion. That's one of the smaller tinder boats that you spend 2 hours a day off the boats on. But that's how close you get to wildlife, and there's nothing that can explain the amazing feeling of having an elephant 3 feet on one side and a hippo 3 feet on the other side. And here is the Zambezi Queen, which is our 5-star virtuoso. 14 cabins. There's 10 standard cabins and 4 masters. The 4 masters are the 4 you see on the front of the boat, and the room sizes are exactly the same. The difference is those front balconies, where the other cabins only have a smaller Juliet balcony. Here's some pictures of what the boat looks like. It was newly refurbished last year, so it's less than a year old. And one thing I actually want to note to everybody is it will be out of the water this January and February, getting a new engine. So there is limited availability this year and 25, and honestly all the way through 2026. So what I highly recommend is for you to build your client's itinerary around availability, because there are set 2 and 3 night departure schedules that you need to adhere to. For more, what I talked about is one boat with 14 suites. I explained how to get to and from, and how you have to go over to Namibia. 2 or 3 night departures. The Monday is 2 night, Wednesday is 2 night, and Friday is the 3 night departure. And there's just another picture of the beautiful boat. There's the front soaking deck. No better place to have a sundowner, in my opinion, because sunrises and sunsets on the Chobe are some of my favorite in the entire world. There's an example. There's the bar area. Here's what that's one of the master cabins. You can see the extra balcony in the front there. But other than that, here's a double cabined room. You can see the Juliet balcony there for an example of what this looks like, but they're very spacious. And here are our 3 little princesses, and this is where I recommend you look for availability if you can't find it on the Queen. We have 3 of these, and 2 of them have 4 cabins. One of them has 5 cabins. The one with the 5th cabin is the one you see in front, and that 5th cabin is just up top. But what it is a smaller, more boutique experience, and it's 4-star only because it's just a little bit less of what I say being minded to. The food and beverage is exactly the same as the Queen. The day-to-day experience is the 6 hours off on the tinder boats, and honestly, you get a bit more of an intimate experience on these boats, because at max you're going to have 8 guests on the 4 cabins and 10. So this is a fantastic option to think about if you're looking to do a multi-generational family group or just a couple groups of friends. You very easily have a complete boat buyout for 2 or 3 nights with your group only, and 2 tinder boats for 4 cabins, based on just what the cabin cost is and no additional cost. This boat all 3 of these boats were recently refurbished at the beginning of, they went back into the water 3 months ago, I think. So they've had very little, they've only had a couple of departures since the remodel. So they're gorgeous, spanking new, completely refreshed in the inside. And here you can see some imagery of what it looks like. As I mentioned, it's 3 houseboats total. 2 boats have 4 cabins, 1 has 5. It's the exact same process of stamping into Namibia and then stamping back out of Namibia and into Botswana when your guests depart. The same 2 or 3 night set departures. But because we do have 3 of these, there is a bit more availability on here. And one thing I like to note with these smaller boats, because they are smaller, they actually have more maneuverability in the channels, where they're able to go up into the channels in the Chobe further than the Queen. The Queen, because she is so big, she has less mobility up and down the water, and especially at low season. But you are off in the smaller boats that can buzz around 6 hours a day. But again, because the Queen is so big, she actually moors in the same spot every evening facing Kasane, because that's the deepest channel, where these 3 smaller boats moor upstream further facing Chobe National Park. And every evening they actually moor in a different spot facing the park, where the queen moors in the same spot every evening. So on these three little queens, and I say little queens, but they're just very intimate, and it's just a really special experience overall. But they actually face more wildlife in the evenings. You can see here in the upper left, that's Elephant Bay, which is one of the mooring spots, and you're pretty much guaranteed to see elephants, because Chobe National Park has more elephants than anywhere else in Africa per capita. So it's an amazing spot to see elephants. But the other amazing part of this is, while you on a game drive, you are up at the crack of dawn going, so it's a bit exhausting here, because the animals come down to the water all day to cool off. You have a much more intimate experience. And you get to see animals all day. It's not just dusk and dawn. Anytime you look outside, you're going to see elephants. And this is an example of what the main deck looks like. So you're not going to have that formal dining. You're going to have amazing food. You're just not going to have quite of a formal dining experience as you will on the Queen. Here's an example of what our deck looks like. Here's an example of what one of the rooms looks like. It does not have a balcony, but it has windows that fully open. And quite honestly, you spend very little time in your rooms, because there you're at elephant leg level, and you actually want to be up higher in the higher deck where you can see more of the vista. There's a picture of the room. Here's the final picture of the boat. One more example of what your pretty much every day will look like. And here is our beautiful Namibian staff saying thank you, and we can't wait to host you and or your clients on these boats in the future.
Wow. I love it. I mean, every time I watch your presentation, Melissa, I imagine doing that with some friends. Like, the buyout of one of those boats wouldn't be hard, right? Get a few couples together, and
Exactly.
I would imagine they're unbelievably amazed at the end of it, of all that they've seen and done, right? After that, like, it's unlike any other experience, right?
You have elephants 3 feet on one side of you and hippos, and you're in a little fishing boat where you're like, is this okay? But they completely ignore you. Our guides are expertly trained to keep everyone safe, so there's no safety concerns.
Iyanani